Chapter 17. Chi-gyu Yuanman establishes a playground. Poem. The jade sky is vast and hazy at dusk. The Milky Way shines brightly. A jade mirror hangs in the mid-sky. The earth is filled with golden light. Human shadows flutter like phoenixes and cranes. The sound of flutes is like the choked notes of phoenixes. What can 100 years accomplish? Just play along, enjoy the moment. It is often said, playing is useless. I think that when people are young, they find some fun in playing, but they don't know what fun it is. Once they grow up, they either seek fame or fortune, keeping their bodies busy and bustling. Where can they steal a moment of leisure? Until they achieve fame and success, their hair is white, and they have no interest in playing anymore. And some die before achieving their goals, thus their lives have been spent in vain. Being good at playing along is also a wise saying. But one must understand that joy and sorrow are interdependent, and not let oneself drift away and forget the past. Now Qin Xiubao, having seen Li Jiang, hurried back to his lodgings. After the group of friends had finished their meal and drinks, they waited for Xiubao to return before settling their debts at the inn. Upon seeing Xiubao, they all exclaimed, "Brother, why didn't you take us into the city?" Xiubao replied, "What business do we have in the city at dawn? It's a good time to go in and have some fun." Wang Botting then inquired about Li Xuansui, to which Xiubao responded, "The gifts I brought are currently being kept in Xuansui's office. However, he is too busy to discuss them in detail. Hearing that you are here, brother, he asked me to convey his regards." He then said to the group, "Let's pack up and head into the city now." So the heroes mounted their horses. A total of 7 riders and more than 30 men bid farewell to Tao Wang and left the inn. Bo Dang, still on his horse, turned back and laughed, saying, "Brother Qin, it's all our friend's fault for putting on such a foolish act." Xiubao asked, "How so?" Bo Dang pointed to the group and said, "We 7 are riding 7 horses with more than 20 men behind us carrying bundles. If we were to enter the city now, we'd have to walk through it. People say that those who travel long distances turn north and then return, but these men don't even know the way and have come back lost. Now we're going into the city, but we want to go to the bustling streets, the taverns and tea houses, to have fun and play. Is it appropriate to bring all these people?" Xiubao then thought, "Li Yayashi's words cannot be completely trusted, nor can they be completely disregarded. If we enter the city now and something unpleasant happens, we can just mount our horses and leave. If we follow Bo Dang's advice, he will only. Walking around might be inconvenient. What should we do?" Bo Dang and Xiubao argued about whether to ride horses or not. Li Rugui said, "Brothers, don't argue. Let's do as your younger brother says. We'll only ride the horses to the city gate. What's the point of taking all these men into the city? Let's find a small place outside the city gate to settle all the luggage, unsaddle the horses, lead them to the city moat to drink, and let everyone take turns eating. The 2 retainers from Chai County are very disciplined. Let them take their felt bags, gift boxes, and gold and silver coins into the city for their use. The men outside at dusk will saddle and rein in the horses, waiting for us to leave the city." All the friends agreed. That makes sense. As they spoke, they arrived at the city gate. Xiubao instructed 2 swift men. "I am different from the other gentlemen. I have official business to attend to. Carry the reply letters and replies with you in a felt bag. These are matters of life and death. At dusk, my horse must have an extra girth strap. Remember this carefully." Xiubao and his friends each carried concealed weapons and led 2 of their household guards into the city. The officials, ministers, and common people of the 6 streets and 3 markets, acting on the emperor's orders, shared in the joy. Every household was decorated with colorful banners, carpets were laid out, and lanterns were arranged. These heroes all saw the Sima Gate, which was the yamen of Yuan Shu, where the decorators were setting up lantern towers. It was the residence of the Minister of War, and behind the screen wall was an archery range. a place for the promotion and examination of military officials, also known as the small training ground. Why were there so many cheering? It was the sound of someone throwing a ball. Who dared to throw a ball at the Ministry of War's archery range? It was none other than Yuan Shu's son, Yuan Huiji. Yuan Shu had 4 sons. The eldest, Huiji, was appointed as the imperial censor. The second, Shiji, married Princess Jinyang and was appointed as the imperial son-in-law. The third, Zhiji, was the junior director of works. Huiji was his youngest son, and relying on his family's influence, he inevitably became an official. Illiterate and uneducated, he wore fine silks and ate delicacies, his retinue consisting of nothing more than a bunch of idle loafers, sycophants, and hangers-on who indulged in drinking, womanizing, and frivolous pursuits. He hadn't even kicked a ball twice, yet people praised him for his skill, and he himself claimed to be an expert. With this mastery of the game, he learned of the Lantern Festival in Chang'an and flocked there to serve under the patronage of young Master Yuan. The young master had taken over his father's archery range and converted it into a ball field. On the first day of the Lunar New Year, during the Lantern Festival, he had the platform covered with colorful silk fabrics, creating a canopy that blocked out the sun. A colorful goalpost was erected at the front, inscribed with the words "Official Ball Field." The young master sat at the head of the table, flanked by 2 beautiful women, hired from Pinkang Lane in Chang'an, nicknamed Golden Phoenix Dance and Colorful Clouds Flying, for their unparalleled skill in the game. 2 small archways were erected on the east and west sides of the platform. These skilled archers, grouped in pairs, with their main and secondary entourages arranged in a wing-like formation, numbered no less than 200. The archery range had 20 or so shooting fields, one of which had 2 single pillars supporting a small archway. A circle, about the size of a bucket, was built on top of the archway, called the Colorful Gate. Heroes and friends from the martial world, regardless of their skill, whether it was a single spear, a pair of crutches, a shoulder pole, or a variety of kicks, whoever kicked past the colorful gate would receive a bolt of colorful silk, a pair of silver flowers, and a silver plaque from the young master on the platform. No matter how much gratitude the person expressed, it all went to the 2 skilled archers. Some won the colorful gate and the silver flowers, others lost and became a laughingstock. Indeed, talent is ingrained in their bones. Beauty is born of them. Meanwhile, Xu Bao and his friends, having squeezed their way to this bustling spot, remembered Li Yayashi's words and said to Bo Dang, "Never compete with others. Patience is paramount. Only by enduring what others cannot endure can one be a true hero." Hearing Xu Bao's words, Wang Bodang and Chai Sicheng both restrained themselves. However, Qi Guoyuan and Li Rugui, 2 roughnecks, reverted to their old ways, using their strength to push and shove everyone aside to watch the games. Li Rugui, from a wealthy family, knew something about games. Qi Guoyuan, however, had been an outlaw since childhood, only knowing how to set fires on windy days and kill on dark nights. He knew nothing of games. Looking at the round figure, eyes wide open, not even recognizing the clothes, he whispered to Li Rugui, "Brother Li, what's that round thing called?" Rugui laughed and jokingly replied, "It's called leather-wrapped lead, made by filling it with 64 caddies of cold lead according to the 8 trigrams." Guoyuan said, "3 people are quite strong. They can kick that high with just a slight lift of their feet. If they kick it around, they win a bolt of silk and a pair of silver ornaments. Could I possibly kick that high?" These words were merely the bane of the 2 men. They whispered something, but Yuanqing overheard it and brought down the props, saying, "Which gentleman is asking for the props?" Li Rugui patted Qi Guoyuan's shoulder and said, "This gentleman wants to put on an act." Yuanqing stepped forward and said, "Please forgive me, sir. I'm just a lowly servant, and my assistant Zhang Fan will serve you." Qi Guoyuan was flustered, thinking to himself, "I'll just do my best to kick it." That lowly servant, despite his clumsy skills, used a hook kick with a suspended leg, like a swallow carrying a pearl out to sea, to deliver the ball to the young man's shin. Chi Goyuan saw the ball coming, his eyes dazzled, and fearing he couldn't kick it, he used all his strength to rush forward and kick it with a loud thud, sending the ball flying into the blue sky and disappearing in the wind. Yu Wenqing, seeing the props gone, had no choice but to come forward, beaming with joy, saying, "We two lowly servants haven't offended you at all, sir. Why are you making fun of us, wasting our efforts?" Chi Goyuan, already annoyed, was about to start a fight. Seeing that things weren't going well, Li Rugui had to step in to smooth things over, saying, "You've all met countless friends among the 6 arts. When you came to Yuanqing earlier, you should have asked, 'What is your honorable name, sir? Where do you live? What is your place of honor? We met in the capital today. If we meet again someday, we'll be old friends. It's your fault for being so inconsiderate that I kicked your clothes off. Here's a reward for you." He took out 5 taels of silver from his sleeve, gave it to Yuanqing, and pulled Goyuan along, saying, "Let's go have some wine." They parted the crowd and headed out. They saw Qin Shubao and his 2 brothers enter from outside, accompanied by 2 servants. They pleaded with their men to clear a path, but no one would give way. Suddenly, people started to fall, as Chi Goyuan and Li Rugui managed to squeeze through. Shubao saw them and said, "Where are you 2 brothers going? Come in and play with us." They were then pulled in together. All 4 of them were skilled at playing football. While Shubao was skilled in martial arts, Yu Wenqing was the most agile. Wang Badeng was a renowned official who had abandoned the Sui dynasty and was proficient in all arts. However, he was recommended to the young and elegant Chai Junma. Chai Shao said, "I dare not. Let one of you brothers go up first and I will discuss it." Shubao said, "Although Yu Wenqing is skilled, he is inevitably a bit crude. This is a place where 10 eyes can see. Junma is refined and has no flaws." Chai Sicheng, a young man fond of play, interjected, "I was presumptuous, please apologize another day." The 2 courtesans who were supposed to be serving him brought over the attire. "Sir, please present the attire." The prince consort said, "Gentlemen, please take care of these 2 beauties beside the young master. Are they courtesans?" One of the courtesans replied, "They were hired by the young master from Pinking Lane. They are skilled in courtesans, and their nicknames are Golden Phoenix Dance and Colorful Clouds Fly." The prince consort said, "I wish to befriend them. Is that possible?" The courtesan replied, "But I require the sir to make an exception and allow us to be together." The prince consort said, "I would gladly offer you my head as a gift and trouble you 3 gentlemen to inform you so that we may enjoy this day's pleasure. I will gladly accept your generous offer." Yu Wenqing said, "So it is a gentleman from the martial world." She came up to the platform to inform the young master, "There is a gentleman from the martial world who wishes to invite the 2 beauties to see his attire." The young master, however, only wanted to play around. He instructed the 2 beauties to go down properly, and 4 maids followed behind, carrying 2 scrolls of colorful attire. They came down from the platform to greet Chai Junma and exchange greetings. They each took their places and began to display the colorful attire. The young master also left his seat and stood below the archway to watch. The various performers below, holding the attire, all came to see the beauty Yu Wenqing. Chai Junma, however, used his lifelong martial arts skills, kicking his shoulder-mounted acrobatic kicks as if shuttling through the colorful gate. The servants on the platform threw down colorful ribbons and silver flowers. The 2 following behind quickly put them into their felt tents. Chi Goyuan was overjoyed, dancing with delight. "Prince, don't stop! Kick until the evening!" The 2 beauties showed off their skills. One fluttered her green sleeves, the other swayed her xiong skirt. Fluttering green sleeves, lightly concealing slender jade hands, swaying xiong skirts, half revealing narrow golden lotuses. One kicked with skillful precision, the other with steady, powerful kicks. One kicked a bright pearl onto the Buddha's head, the other with a sharp, swift kick. The other followed with a light, playful knee strike, mistaking it for a swaying motion. When the kick landed on the forehead, 1,000 cheered. Sweat streamed down their powdered faces, wetting their silk robes. Their excitement subsided, and they cried out. Later generations praised them in a poem. Beauties gathered like embroidered balls. A celestial breeze brought down 2 graceful maidens. Sweat streamed down their powdered faces like dew on flowers. Dust stained their eyebrows like willow branches, shrouded in mist. Green sleeves hung low, concealing their jade-like hands. Xiang skirts trailed obliquely, revealing their golden lotuses. After several kicks, they were weak and listless, their cloud-like hair disheveled, and their jeweled buns askew. Having finished preparing his attire, Xiubao took 20 taels of silver and 4 bolts of colorful silk to give to the 2 beautiful women he had been courting. He also gave 2 gold fans and 5 taels of silver to thank the 2 friends who had overseen his courting. The young master, having also seen off his courting beauties, returned to his courtyard and prepared to stroll through the market. Xiubao and his group bid farewell to the young master, left the playing field, and crossed the blue bridge. They saw the streets ablaze with lights. It was truly surrounded by agate cities, 5-colored glass caves, 1,000-foot mica towers, 10,000 crystal palaces, dense pearl tassels, layers of brocade. The shadows swayed, shaking heaven and earth. The light made the world red. Fire trees bloomed in midair, golden lotus petals surged on the ground. Lively divine turtles emerged from the sea, dancing colorful phoenixes soared into the sky. Moreover, with the perfect timing and location, laughter and beauty filled the air. Even children were exhausted. In the decorated pavilions, words encompassed the elegance of all ages. By the painted bridge, riddles shattered the ignorance of 1,000. Beyond the blue sky, lights illuminated the exquisite beauty of the 4 seas. Beautiful women, gleaming lanterns, and moonlight vie for attention. Carriages and horses welcome them, music and song accompany them, the festivities lasting all night long. What do they care about the empty water clocks and copper vessels? In this peaceful year, on this lantern festival, joy is shared with all. Uncle Bao instructed someone to find a familiar route to see the lanterns, and they arrived at Sima Gate. The lantern pavilions were all ready. The lantern towers were only for a short time, just reed sheds and thatched pavilions erected in the sky, but below were colorful satins depicting wealth and nobility, with a Qilin lantern hanging in the center. Above the Qilin lantern hung 4 golden characters. All beasts pay homage. A couplet hangs on the archway. The left line reads, "The Zhou dynasty brings auspiciousness, sages descend to earth, and the nation is well governed." The right line reads, "The Sui dynasty presents auspicious omens, a benevolent ruler governs the world, and longevity is boundless." Beneath the Qilin lantern, various animal lanterns surround it. The Zijai lantern, baring its fangs and claws. The lion lantern with open eyes and bushy fur. The Baizi lantern shining brightly. The green bear lantern with a strange shape. The fierce tiger lantern bluffing and intimidating. The leopard lantern seemingly roaring. The rat lantern stealing melons and clinging to vines. The mountain monkey lantern climbing trees to pick peaches. The camel lantern unable to carry a carriage. The white elephant lantern seemingly following the emperor. The deer lantern carrying flowers in its mouth. The cunning rabbit lantern with grass fluttering in the wind. The galloping horse lantern leaping and galloping. The fighting sheep lantern rising and falling with the tide. All kinds of animal lanterns are present, too numerous to count. 2 ancient figures rode 2 beast-shaped lanterns. On the left was the Emperor of Zidong, riding a white mule lantern, descending to the mortal world. On the right was Laozi of Yuking, riding a green ox lantern, heading west out of Yongyuan Pass. A poem reads, "Countless beast lanterns sway with colorful light, rising and falling in neat rows. The Qilin is a hairy creature. Thus it leads 1,000 ferocious beasts to pay homage. After admiring the kiln lanterns, the crowd passed the Ministry of War and followed Xiubao to the residence of Duke Yang Yue. These high-ranking officials and guards erected a covered lantern tower at the gate. The common people also set up small lantern sheds, set up the emperor's tablet, lit candles and burned incense, making it as bright as day. Before long, they arrived at the gate of Duke Yue. Hanging on the lantern tower was a phoenix lantern, with 4 golden characters on the plaque above. Celestial Phoenix of the Heavenly Dynasty. A pair of golden couplets adorned the tower. Phoenix wings spread across the southern mountains. All under heaven rejoice, a sign of auspiciousness. Dragon manes raised in the northern sea. All humankind receives grace. Below the phoenix lantern hung various bird lanterns. Crane lantern, perched on pine and cypress. Golden pheasant lantern, its feathers reflected in the clouds. Oriole lantern about to sing in the green willows. Peacock lantern looking back at the red flowers. Wild duck lantern, its beak holding water plants. Wild goose lantern, its feet carrying reeds. Wagtail lantern, seemingly coming from the mulberry and osage orange groves. Mandarin duck lantern, hidden on the sandbar. Heron lantern, poised to catch fish. Hawk lantern, catching rabbits with flair. Parrot lantern, scolding common birds. Magpie lantern, surpassing even the crows. Mandarin duck lantern, a pair of lovebirds. Mandarin duck lantern, a pair of bickering lovers. All kinds of bird lanterns were present, too numerous to count. On the left and right are 2 ancient figures, riding 2 bird-shaped lanterns. Because it is the birthday of Duke Yue, on the left is the Queen Mother of the West, riding a blue phoenix to the jade pool for the banquet. On the right is the god of longevity of the South Pole, riding a white crane to add to the year's celebration. There are 4 lines of poetry. Thousands of bird lanterns gather on Mount Au, vividly resembling birds testing their wings. Because the Feather King stands tall, all the birds follow in his footsteps. The friends, having seen the phoenix lanterns at the gate of Duke Yue's Yang mansion, arrived at the first drumbeat and rushed to the East Chang'an Gate. Qi Guoyuan, having been a commoner since childhood, had never been to the capital. Today was the Lantern Festival, with bright lanterns and a blazing moon, and the deafening sound of gongs and drums. Yet he had no kind words to say to his friends, awkwardly squeezing and pushing his clumsy body through the crowd, overjoyed, but shaking his head, turning his eyes, shouting and jumping, unable to contain himself. Xiubao said, "Let's enter Chang'an Gate, pass through the imperial city, and see the lanterns inside." When they arrived at the 5 Phoenix Tower, it was packed with people. In front of the 5 Phoenix Tower stood an imperial lantern tower. 2 senior eunuchs sat on silver-flowered chairs. To their left was Pei Jai, the director of ceremonial, and to their right was Zhang Qing, the inspector of the palace guard, leading 500 eunuchs, all dressed in brocade robes with floral patterns, each carrying a red staff, guarding the imperial lantern tower. This lantern tower was not made of paper, silk, or paint. It was constructed entirely of exotic fragrances from overseas and precious palace treasures, hence its name, the Imperial Lantern Tower. A plaque hung above it, strung with a tiny pearl bearing 4 characters, "Radiant light across the world." A pair of couplets, inlaid with jade and gold, read, "Amidst the music and songs of the 3,000 worlds, in the splendor of the 12 capitals." The scenery of the Imperial Lantern Tower was truly extraordinary. Wang Badeng, Chai Sicheng, Qi Guoyuan, Li Rugui, and their group, after viewing the Imperial Lantern Tower, wandered about, sometimes gathering, sometimes dispersing, sometimes in tea-houses, sometimes in taverns, sometimes in theaters. None of them considered returning home. Xiubao repeatedly urged them to leave the city, but they wouldn't listen. What happens next remains to be seen. Let's find out in the next chapter.